below me is a shipwreck that sunk in 1940 after striking a German mine in Firth of Forth. 28 men lost their lives, 18 of these men were from a small fishing town called Brixham in Devon. And I'm going to show you what the wreck looks like in 2025. Okay, so that's us just launched our boat from Burnt Island Slipway in Fife, and we're heading out to the wreck site. Zooming in on the map, you can see HMS Saucy is located between Fife and Edinburgh, and it's about 2.7 kilometres away from the nearest island, which is Inchkeith. Weather conditions today are beautiful, it's flat calm, you've got a couple of ripples there from a tanker that's just passed us, but it only takes around 10 minutes to get to the wreck. So that's just arrived at HMS Saucy. The first coordinates we got are wrong, so I've just typed in the new coordinates and we'll hopefully find it with the side scan. Okay, so I think we've definitely found it. I'm just going to do another couple of passes on the side scan so we've got an accurate location. I'm not using underwater GPS at the moment, so we'll just be moored quite close to it and then chuck the ROV in, so hopefully we don't get lost. Okay, so that's us definitely found it now. Check that out for a lump of metal. You can actually see where the seabed drops. So in the reports it states that there's a huge kind of scour which is caused by the tides coming in and out, and that's located at the bow. So I think the bow stands around 4 metres off the seabed, so it'll be quite an interesting dive. Conditions are amazing today. We're going to have a bit of easterly wind and it's starting to kick in now. You can see the ripples, it's not like glass anymore. But high tides at 1 o'clock, it's now 20 past 11. We'll pretty much get everything set up, ready to go. By that time, it'll be closer to 12 and I'll just chuck the ROV in. We don't need it to be totally on high water, because what I'll do, if the tide is strong, I'll go to one side of the wreck and you can take shelter, and we'll do a video on that. As soon as the slack water comes, we'll do a video on the rest. Just as we were about to put the anchor in, this container ship came up the Forth, so we just got the drone up and got some good footage of it. Container ship heading to God knows where. This camera is going underwater, so we won't be speaking on that again. Bye. Recording. Time to go. Let's go. Okay, this is us just heading down to seabed. Seabed's around 20 metres I'm sure, so not too deep at all. Obviously we get into seabed, you can see there's mud there, and then we've got a small shoal of fish. Not sure which kind of fish these are, but we have had a resident whale that lives in the Firth of Forth, comes back every year, so that's probably what he's feeding on. Might be sprats. And then you can see there we've claimed a creel, fisherman's creel. He's seen the wreck on the charts and thought it's probably a good place to put a lobster pot, but he's not got his lobster pot back. Now, we obviously don't have underwater GPS, so we are just looking for the wreck itself, and it'll become apparent what's happened here. So I'm going along the seabed and it just looks totally strange to me. I'm really disorientated because there shouldn't be this kind of slope on the seabed, and as you can see there's bare rock just there. Now this little piece here is a piece of metal which is like brass or copper, so that's our first indication that we're in the right area. But again, we're in this kind of hole, and I start to realise we're actually in the scour patch. That's where you can see bare rock because the current's been coming up and down and scouring the sand away, so it basically blows the sand away, leaves the heavy stuff which is the rock. So you can see the ROV searching around, and then bang, you see above us there we've actually been searching in the scour patch on the bow of the Saucy. So this is the HMS Saucy. We're coming up from underneath, so we've started at our keel and we're heading up the port side now. So at the start of this dive I was quite disorientated, I didn't know which way we were going, and you can see it's totally covered in marine life. And you'll see us now, we come to the port side rails, and that is the remnants of where the wheelhouse was. So we just turn to our right here, and that's us facing astern. I don't know it at the time, but I look down and I can see this yellow cable, and that is not a good sign. Basically, whenever you're flying an ROV underwater, you'd never want to see your umbilical. If you do see your umbilical, it means you're snagged or something's caught it. So I've skipped forward a bit, and we've cleared our umbilical, and this is us back up on the port side of HMS Saucy, heading to the bow. So she was built in Hessel by a company called Livingston and Cooper, and she was launched in August 1918. She measured in at 579 gross tons, and she was around 49 metres long, which is half the size of a football pitch. Then in 1924 she was sold into commercial service but retained the name Saucy. In 1939 she was hired and commissioned again by the Royal Navy with a crew of 31, just as the war was breaking out. Just for reference, that's us now at the bow of HMS Saucy, obviously looking down into the water there. But yeah, you can see both port and starboard, which is really intact, and you'll see the anchor quite shortly. So HMS Saucy was based in Rosyth, and she was alongside on the night of the 3rd of September 1940. She began to sail towards a Dutch merchant vessel that had received serious damages from a German aircraft. By 1:40 AM she had the Dutch ship in tow and began sailing back to Rosyth. Later, in the daytime, HMS Saucy had lost all communications and alarms were raised as something was obviously wrong. The ship had come across a mine and had exploded violently without warning and sank within minutes at the spot where she was steaming. 18 of the 26 crew lost were from Brixham and Devon. Only 7 bodies were recovered, 5 being from Brixham. These 7 were buried in Seafield Cemetery in North Edinburgh, a few miles south of the disaster site. 7 of the crew were related, including 3 Harveys from the same family. So this is us now on the bow deck of HMS Saucy. You can see there you've got a couple of mooring cleats, I think that's on the starboard side. And as we turn round, you're going to see here, you can see the winches with anchor chain still in them. Obviously they haven't moved since the day it went down. We're just going to continue travelling along the deck towards the wheelhouse. While I was doing some research on HMS Saucy, I came across a post on Facebook by a guy called Martin Smith, and this is in the Welcome Brixham Heritage group. I was working on the reception at the Brixham Museum one afternoon when a very nice lady came in. She asked if we had any information on HMS Saucy, as one of her relatives had served on her. I had not been at the museum that long, but I had seen a file in the office as I was cataloguing some of the archive material in my spare time, but I had not yet got to this file to look at it. I went to fetch the file and brought it down, and we proceeded to look through it. The file was full of photos, not only of seamen, but also of memorials and graves and grave sites. It did not take long to realise that some catastrophe had befallen these young men. We came to the pages concerning her relative, and the lady started to cry. The file not only contained pictures of her lost relative, but also of her mother and other close relatives that she had never thought existed. They were tears of joy, and she thanked me and asked if I could make copies of the photos, which I duly did. It's a real tragic story. So continuing on the dive, you can see we come to a doorway there, obviously some sort of manway. I tried to get the ROV in a bit closer, but you can just see it's full of mud. So we're on the structure here, and we're moving along the side of it when we come to what looks to be a funnel or a mast that's fallen over. You can see inside there, it looks more like a funnel, and this is just fallen over a compartment on HMS Saucy. So I've spotted an open compartment here, and I'm just going to lower the ROV down inside it just to see what there is. I don't expect much, and you'll see in a second it's just full of mud, but nonetheless we are in one of the compartments on HMS Saucy. Now this is us back up on the bow, and what you can see on the left of your screen there is actually the base of the gun that sits on the bow of HMS Saucy. Quite an amazing find, and it sits in an upright position, almost like it's ready to fire. Now it's covered in anemones, but you can see the base there, that's the inside of the gun, and then we work our way up the barrel of the gun. And that's us at the end of the barrel. You can see the hole on the end there, and we're moving back down towards the base. We get quite a good picture of the base here. It's not just a simple gun, and then moving round to the left you get a better image of the side of the gun. Unreal. So this is us on the actual superstructure of HMS Saucy. You can see a porthole there, and as the video goes on you'll see a row of portholes, and I'm about to show you exactly where we are on the ship. So what you can see there is a manway that's located there on the port side of HMS Saucy, in between the row of portholes. We tried to move the ROV in a bit closer. Again, because the vessel sits upright in the Forth, with the high tides and currents, everything's covered in silt. Okay, so that's us just leaving the manway and that row of portholes, and we're up on the upper deck. You can see there in the circle, so this is just above the row of portholes, and we're just going to move astern to make sure there's no entanglements for the ROV. You can see some trawler fishing net there, so there's obviously been a trawler in the area, and we've came back on ourselves and we're moving ahead, so towards the bow on the upper deck. I believe when HMS Saucy struck the mine it was midships to astern. I've spoke to my dad about this, who's actually dived the stern, and it's roughly 100 metres away from the main shipwrecks. So that's us completed our dive and we're heading back to surface. You can see the lighter coloured water, which means you're closer to sunlight. And that's us all packed up here. Really sad, you know, for the guys on board. You know, they're coming into the Forth. I'm not sure if they're coming in or going, but anyway, you're on a ship expecting nothing to happen, and then bang, out of nowhere. So yeah, that's us all packed up anyway, and we're going to head back in. So guys, thanks for watching. I know it's probably not the most positive video you've watched today on YouTube, but I believe it's important to talk about it and to educate people on our history. Feel free to subscribe to be notified for the next Shipwrecks of the Forth episode. Coming to you soon. Cheers.